According to a recent poll by the Gallup, 85% of employees are not engaged in the workplace. What strategies are you using to increase employee engagement, such as upskilling, cross-training, onboarding? What's working?
It's interesting, Rachel. I've always been of the mindset that engagement really starts with the employee, and it starts with knowing what motivates them. I'm an executive coach, and I've coached many professionals at all different levels of life coaching and executive coaching. And I have loved the terminology, quote unquote, coachable. And the question is, are your employees coachable? Because what you'll find is the individuals that are coachable are the ones who are often the most engaged. And if someone is not coachable, take note of that. See how you can perhaps support them, educate them, train them on that initiative and on that one particular attribute in and of itself. And I'll share a quick story. I have 3 children, 2 of which were athletes. And my one son was a very big athlete, and he was a soccer player. He was so good that he ended up moving on, going to the Naval Academy, right? Because he got recruited. He was coachable. My daughter was a softball pitcher. She pitched 65 miles an hour, which is unheard of for a softball. She was not coachable. She failed and stopped coaching. She could have had a full scholarship. Colleges were trying to recruit her, and she walked away. She was not coachable. So identify sometimes who's coachable and who's not coachable, and see how you can help them and support them. Of course, fast forward, she's been educated and trained. She's now coachable, so I'm happy to say. But keep in mind that sometimes people are just not aware of it. So if you kind of get an idea, look at what's going on, see who's at risk, again, and then you want to cross-train, upskill, and onboard that type of personality and that type of person, an employee, you'll have an amazing organization.
Yeah, I cannot agree more, Diane, with that really putting that back onto knowing your people, identifying what works, and then creating programs within your business to help encourage more interactions with those type of individuals. Within our business, we've done a really great job of creating these mentor-mentee relationships across division lines to allow people to build stronger relationships, get that personal tie, but also start to develop skills out of areas that they may not normally in their day-to-day engagement. And the other thing too is you can make this easy for yourself. There's really incredible systems out there in technology today to make this something that you can implement that kind of self-guides you in your business. As leadership, as HR, you can basically implement it annually, work with leaders to identify what they want to see within the business, and then create these tooling paths through the course of the year that basically self-run. And most people, especially the millennial workforce, love it. They love technology and they love things that are easy. So it really helps enable companies and employees to be more involved. And that does start with onboarding day one too. If you have a good process from day one, it's going to reflect all the way through. So spending time creating the right sort of procedures that are going to work for your business.
You are seeing that technology when it comes to coaching could be very beneficial, not only for the C-suite, but all the way through from management to onboarding staffing as a protocol for growth within the company.
If you make it easy for people, they're way more inclined to utilize it. If you are expecting managers to host, one-on-one or even peer-to-peer reviews, just on their own on a quarterly or an annual basis, and you just kind of leave it up to them to do, it's probably not going to happen. Our HR is going to spend a lot of time running around trying to get people to get things done. But if you invest in a system that automatically pings people, it sends emails, sends reminders, it's a quick 5-8 questions, people are going to go ahead and engage in that. One of the systems we've implemented in our business actually allows for a full live loop chat within managers and team members. Team members can leave messages for each other all the way down. So it's a fully matrixed environment, and it's really a neat system that lets our company work a lot more smoothly and ensure that those elements are happening when otherwise it's a lot of, like I said, running around trying to get things done, and people just don't respond well to that usually.
We're also dealing with employee fatigue, burnout, the impact it has on the organization. Many of us are working from home. We're Zooming all day long. We have no boundaries. There are no borders. We're going from one session to the next. Many times not even having time for lunch or personal activities. So how do we deal with this?
I comment on the last topic, but there's an interplay between what I was going to say before and this same subject. So a lot of people are doing too much engagement, or in their mind, engagement by calling me and complaining that their employees are quitting, and they're saying, well, I engaged with the worker. I had them come in every weekend. And I said, well, that's just extra work. That's not necessarily engagement, and maybe that's not the best fit for that employee. And a lot of employees look at too much engagement as being overbearing, as being a form of micromanaging. So more is not always better with engagement, and it can lead to things like employee burnout and fatigue. Because as we've all witnessed over the last 18 to 20 months in dealing with this pandemic, is that there's been little to no separation between the work and home balance, where we've been working from home and juggling between personal responsibilities and work as well. And people haven't taken a real vacation during this whole time. So we just need to be mindful that, yes, we want employees to stay, because employees that leave end up, more often than not, creating problems for the company, both financially and potentially with lawsuits. But we don't want to be overbearing. We do want to give employees an opportunity to breathe, take real vacations, get away, not just have another place to continue doing work, like actually to disconnect, because you're going to see better productivity with workers if they do have an opportunity to disconnect, and you're going to see greater retention as well.
I'd like to add on that as well. And thank you for that, Adam. When we're looking at the employees, right, this is a real issue. This is systemic, and it's not just your company or my company, it's every company. So this is something we're all feeling. And the question is, as HR professionals, how can we support them? And I'd like to just sometimes make small recommendations, find ways to have fun, find ways to sit down and say, hey, can you have coffee with me tomorrow morning over Zoom or whatever you might want, but have coffee and just literally just have coffee and talk to somebody, but put it on your calendar. And again, going back to that water cooler talk, kind of what we need sometimes we need to get out of ourselves. We're in our own little world, our own little homes, or whatever we're finding. And you really want to try something different. Put games on the calendar. They have various games that the internet is really throwing out to communities. We did one that was, for instance, was a escape room and a mystery on the calendar. So have fun with your employees and ask your managers to put that time on the calendar. Have cocktails on the calendar, or just whatever it might be. Those little things, again, help find engagement, and it reduces burnout for sure.
Yeah, I to piggyback on with Adam and Diane, I couldn't agree with more with both those points. And really to Diane's point about having fun with your employees, and also a couple off of Adam's of not doing too much. Do those things during business hours. Do it when you're already engaged with your employees. Don't ask them to work late to do a happy hour. Don't ask them to come in on a Saturday to go do a company event, unless your team wants that, unless your team is saying, yes, let's spend extra time outside of work together, because that can be seen, especially in today's environment, as just one more thing they need to do in balance in addition to their other lives at home. Something that we've seen a lot of with kind of the burnout and the fatigue is there's just a lack of boundaries. A lot of our team members are finding haven't learned how to set boundaries in a remote working environment. For many of them, this is their first time ever working in a position like this. So part of it with leadership is teaching and modeling that behavior. I do a lot of work with our executives on really helping them also disengage, take actual unplugged PTO, trusting that the teams that they've hired are capable of doing the job without them. So really modeling what we want to see our employees do for us in return. I, for example, was gone for part of last week, and I didn't turn my cell phone on once, and it was wonderful. And you know what? The company did not burn down, and it ran just fine without me. So, part of this is really just learning to trust your teams, and really help encourage them how to build the skills that they need. There's some great resources online, even free resources online, about how to set boundaries in the workforce, how to do time blocking and scheduling to make sure that you are taking your lunches, you're taking your dog out for their afternoon walk, whatever it may be that you need to make sure you're doing so your mental wellness stays intact. So that's a big part of working in a remote environment, is you can really tax yourself mentally and emotionally when you're not making time for yourself. So teaching your employees how to do that and making that part of their learning and engagement has been a really big deal for both our business as well as many of the clients that we work with.